Welcome back everyone. Today we are going to start the fun part of this lecture series, Agile. And we are going to talk about what it is today. Now let's begin. This is an Agile in a nutshell. A time-boxed iterative approach that builds the product incrementally from the start of the project instead of trying to deliver it all at once near the end. Now, if you look at the bottom part, there's a traditional approach. What we have been doing, what people have been doing, that they spend years, months on planning for something and they try to deliver the entire product at once. Agile does not do that. We break it down to pieces and we run multiple projects to deliver the entire product in the end, but we cut it down to pieces, step by step by step. Wait a minute, if I just look at it, the Agile looks better, then why do people do it the traditional way? That's a very waterfall approach, traditional, analytical, planning-oriented, strategic planning-based approach. Agile, we thought, if we do that, only problem with that is we can think about all the plan Bs and possibilities and risks and those type of things, but at the same time, we cannot really make any changes. So we need to be lightweight, and more flexible. And there comes the name Agile. So Agile actually works better in today's working environment. So what is it exactly? Agile works by breaking projects down into little bits of user functionality called user stories. What we do is, if you look at this, you have to say, wait a minute, isn't that the same? Isn't that what we talked about when we were talking about lean? Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we are doing. As I said in the beginning of this lecture series, there are common denominators. We are doing the same thing with different names. By combining these different methodologies, we can come up with something very effective. Now, the first step is define your end user and specify what they want and describe the benefit and add acceptance criteria. Oh, wait a minute, there's nothing to it. It's simple. I know what my end user is, I know what they want, and I know what I can do to help them. Then what's the difference? The last one. We broke the project into pieces based on functionality, right? So if you do this, if I make this much enhancement, this much increment, we can accept it and move on. Without that, we keep looking at the end result. That's the same as what we have been doing in a traditional approach. So keep this in mind. Good user stories invest. Independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. What does that mean? Well, it cannot be really taught. You just have to come up with a few user stories and work with it, and then you will understand, okay, this is my version of user story, and this is the version that I'm going to use. But every time that you have doubts in your mind, okay, is this good or bad? Use these 6 categories to test if that actually fits into the class of good user story. Now, this is what we usually do, except for that fancy part. We don't really talk about the invest type of deals here, but we usually do it this way. Title, priority, estimate. Okay, what is the name of the project that we are working on? And what has more priority? We need to prioritize what we do. And there's a user story and there's acceptance criteria. So if you have a good user story and if you have acceptance criteria, then the name of the project, it doesn't really mean too much. Now what I want you to notice is a resemblance between this user story and the POV statement from design thinking. Okay, if you can recall, what was POV statement? User plus need plus insight. Remember that? Customers need something to happen because of A, B, and C. Now, user story has about the same structure. There's a user, needs something to happen, and the benefit inside. So, as a user, I want a certain functionality so I can have this type of benefit. That's a user story. So if you are familiar with a POV statement, then you are not going to have any problems with this user story. And then we move on to acceptance criteria. This one, I try to write down in a way that people can actually understand, but I think I kind of failed. But I couldn't come up with anything better than this one, so I'm just going to go with this one for now. Given the current circumstances, if we do this, then this will happen. So we just have to come up with a measurable, some type of estimate, some type of criteria. As in, it used to be 2. If you do this, it'll be 5. Then you see the number 5, then it's accepted. So you just have to have a criteria that actually make everything work, then we can go from there. So this 5 boxes, title, priority, estimate. More important, actually very important 2 boxes, user story and acceptance criteria, then we can go from there. Now, remember the first slide? This one. Let's say there are 9 functions that you need to deliver. And the first iteration, are we just going to go with this 4? Create this user story and acceptance criteria, go from there, iterate it, make it happen, keep making it better. Go from there until all the boxes are full. And you can call your project complete. So, again, what is Agile? It's an iterative approach to project management that helps teams deliver value to their customers faster and with fewer headaches. Yes. Traditional planning is a very detailed planning before anything starts. People spend a lot of time on it. And once the plan is done, not much can be changed from the plan. And the fixed project definition, as in the project itself, is not going to change. However, in Agile project management, we don't spend that much time on planning before it starts. Why? Because there are so many variables, unknown variables that we don't know about. So we spend minimum time to plan. And as we go, we keep changing. The more we learn from the customers, the more changes we make. And instead of having fixed project definition, we do it this way. We'll just do it in 4 weeks. We'll just do it in 2 weeks. Whatever we have after 2 weeks, we'll accept it, and either that fails or succeed. Did it pass acceptance criteria? Then we accept and move on. If it doesn't meet the criteria, then we change it and do it again. So the fixed project definition versus fixed time and cost. That's the main difference between traditional versus Agile project management. An Agile team delivers work in small but consumable increments. Teams choose Agile so they can respond to changes in the marketplace or feedback from customers quickly. Now, the better way to look at this is this. When you have a traditional business plan or strategic plan, when you're working on a project, the market changes, then there isn't much that you can do about it. You have to go back and do it all over from the beginning. If you're in an Agile project management, you create this one backlog the customers want and do the sprint and add that functionality. Adding the functionality or changing or enhancing is that much easier. That's why we prefer Agile project management. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is Agile process requirements. You need to find out what's needed and then design and then develop and test it, deploy it, and review, and just keeps going over and over and over and keep iterating until everything is complete. Now, does every Agile project have this naming? No. All you have to know is you plan something in a minimum level, create an acceptance criteria, design it, develop it, and test it, and get feedbacks from the customers, and then get it out there again, and review, get feedbacks again, and keep repeating the process. That's what you do in an agile management. So I try to put our algorithm of design thinking, lean, agile, and there has to be a growth hacking, but I took that out intentionally so you can see where this agile fits. Agile fits somewhere in between, somewhere in the middle of lean process. So what we actually do is we try to find out what customers want and customers need using design thinking. Empathize it, define it, and go from there. And sometime in the ideation process, we use a lean canvas and agile scrum management technique to come up with this structure. Product backlog, then sprint planning, and then the sprint backlog. What we do is somewhere in the middle of lean process, what we have to do is we have to create something, MVP. And in design thinking process, it is called prototyping. What we do, we create something, we need to take it out there, talk with the customers, and get the feedback. At that time, we start using Agile. And all the information that we use in Agile process, in our algorithm, come from empathizing with customers, our insights. So keep this diagram in mind. That's where Agile fits, and that's how we are going to utilize Agile. Next time, we are going to talk about actual structure of Scrum, and then we're going to talk about sprint planning. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.